everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee. In this show, we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. It is New Comics Day. I have yet to dive into today's glorious stories, but I plan on doing that a little later, probably later on in the day, maybe even tomorrow morning. We'll see. The only thing I was able to get to this morning was the newest issue of Injustice 2. The rest of it will just have to wait until I have time, but who knows when that's going to be, guys. Well, I hope you're enjoying your Wednesday, everyone. And I got to say, I found something really cool online, at least I think it's cool, is, of course, after Avengers Infinity War, there are almost 20 MCU films. And how do you rank them? How do you figure out which one's your favorite? I'm constantly shifting my list. I don't know what to do. Well, fear not. A website known as chuckscoda.com has come up with a little quiz, and pretty much you're choosing between two MCU films, saying which one would you rather watch right now. And it's a series of maybe 20 to 30 questions, and at the end of it, it gives you your MCU ranking. And I did it, and I gotta say, my list looks pretty accurate to what I would really be. Honestly, I think it's the most accurate list I've ever made, so I highly recommend go over to the Dayspring Discussions group, and you can check it out, take the list, post your list in the comments below, and let me know what you came up with, guys. Well, I got a couple of stories to get through, some things from last week to finish up, a couple from this week, and then, of course, then on, we'll see if time runs out, guys. So let's just get into it. Last week, DC and Warner Brothers Animation came out with their first official trailer for their next animated film, The Death of Superman. Now, this is part of a two-part movie that they're doing, this being The Death of Superman, and then later on, I think it's next year, we're getting The Return of Superman. Now, this is all based off the storyline, The Death, Reign, and Return of Superman, which was an epic storyline back in the mid to early 90s. And I gotta say, there was a featurette, I know, with Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, that kind of dives into it a little bit. And this is kind of the first official trailer we've gotten. Now, the interesting thing to me is that it's set in this DC animated film universe that they started off with Justice League War. Also includes Justice League Throne of Atlantis. You got the Justice League versus Teen Titans. There's the Batman films like Batman versus Robin and Batman Bad Blood. All of it, it's in that same universe. You got the same voice cast. Rosario Dawson as Wonder Woman, Matt Lautner as Aquaman, Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. You got Jason O'Mara, who's done a great job voicing Batman for the last couple of years, in my opinion. And then Jerry O'Connell voicing Superman. Now, in this one, Lois Lane is going to be voiced by O'Connell's wife, Rebecca Romaine. So, a little interesting fact about that. And then you got Rainn Wilson from The Office is going to be voicing Lex Luthor. So, again, the most interesting to me is that they're playing in that shared cinematic universe, which I think works pretty well. I haven't been a big fan of some of them, especially of late. I really liked Throne of Atlantis. I liked the Batman films. I liked Justice League Dark. That was a good one, too. So the Teen Titan ones are hit and miss with me. Kind of all depends. Judas Contract, not exactly my cup of tea. But in any event, I like that they're still sticking with the universe, mainly because I think the voice casting works, and I think that they've spent all this time playing in this animated universe. I think it's kind of fun to see that, especially given the fact that the live-action shared DC universe killed Superman in the second movie, and this is going to be like at least the 12th, I think, until they get to the big event. So I'll give them some credit for that. I'm really more anxious to see what they do with the Reign of Superman or the Return of Superman, how much it's going to play out like the comics. I loved when I was a kid the Reign of Superman. You had Superboy, although don't call him Superboy, he doesn't like that. The Man of Steel, the Last Son of Krypton, and the Man of Tomorrow. Of course, Great storyline. I really hope it plays out similar to how it did in the comic books. I don't know, maybe when this one comes out, we'll get a little preview of what the other one was. But in any event, I'm excited for this. Go online, check out the trailer for The Death of Superman. And this will be several times now that they've done Doomsday or The Death of Superman animated. They did start off with Superman Doomsday, I believe it was 10 years ago, which is a pretty good one. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. But that movie plays off the fact that Superman is the only superhero in the world. But it wasn't, of course, great as far as adapting the original material. But as a standalone film, I thought it was pretty decent. So you can go online and check that out. Check out the trailer. Let me know what you think and see if you're excited about this one. Okay, guys, next on the list, it's time to check in with the real American heroes, G.I. Joe. That's right. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Paramount Pictures is developing another G.I. Joe film, which is said to be centered around the character of Snake Eyes. Now, in the 2009 film and 2013 G.I. Joe Retaliation, Snake Eyes was played by Ray Park, better known to everyone as Darth Maul or Toad from the X-Men films, or at least the first couple X-Men films. But Hasbro is looking to get that shared cinematic universe going. Back in 2015, they announced with their partner Allspark Pictures, which is Hasbro's film label, they want to do a shared universe with G.I. Joe, Micronauts, Visionaries, Mask, and Rom the Space Knight. This is some way to start it. Now, Snake Eyes is one of the most prominent and popular characters in G.I. Joe lore. He first appeared in the toy line in Marvel's G.I. Joe comics in 1982 as a silent ninja commando who never removed his helmet. Now, G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra was kind of the first live-action G.I. Joe film starring Channing Tatum and Marlon Wayans. And then, like I said, 2013, you got G.I. Joe Retaliation with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Bruce Willis. To be honest, both those films kind of stunk. To me, my favorite G.I. Joe movie is still the 1980s animated film with the bitchin' theme song, okay? I'm just thinking about it. I want to sing it, but I won't. I'll save you the trouble, and I won't sing it. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, Snake Eyes is a great character, and I can see this. He's a character who doesn't talk, though, which I know can be a little iffy being a lead character, but if you make him kind of the center of it and have the characters around him, you could have Storm Shadow, which is his big rival. You could have Scarlet. You could have Duke. You could have all them centered around this character where they're the ones talking, but you're following Snake Eyes along in this journey. I mean, it could be a really interesting twist, I think, to do a G.I. Joe film that is Snake Eyes centered. He's a great character, though. I mean, he's got a good backstory with Storm Shadow and Scarlet, and there's a lot I think you could do centering around him. And honestly, I did not like those G.I. Joe films. Like I said, I'm still prone to the animated movie, but really I'm not a big G.I. Joe fan. It's just that animated movie, along with the Transformers animated movie back in the 80s, that I thought were just great storytelling devices and really gets me. So with this, I can see them doing something around it. As far as a shared universe, look, I know Marvel does it and they do it great, but every other studio wants that because they see how successful Marvel has been. Unfortunately, no other studio has been successful copying Marvel Studios' plan. With this, G.I. Joe, Micronauts, Mask, ROM, these are franchises that separately, yeah, they're okay, but I can't see them fitting all together. Maybe I have no imagination. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I think if you get this movie going, kind of like how I feel like with Bumblebee, Paramount has a way to reboot or restart the Transformers franchise. I think this could be a way for Paramount to reboot and restart their G.I. Joe franchise. Hopefully do it right and do it G.I. Joe. Don't do like super suits, Channing Tatum and Marlon Wayans, accelerator suits. Give me a break, guys. Really? What were you thinking? What were you thinking? Okay, I'm going to jump off this to the next one before I go off on a tangent. Okay, next up, Syfy has released its first footage from Deadly Class, which is a comic adaptation from Image Comics with writer Rick Remender and artist Wesley Craig. Now, the storyline centers around the late 1980s counterculture of King's Dominion High School for the Deadly Arts, where the children of the world's most crime families send their children to be trained assassins. That alone sounds like a pretty cool premise. Now, of course, Rick Remender, renowned comic writer, again, gives it another nudge in the right direction. But then, of course, it's being executive produced by none other than the Russo brothers, who just crushed it, directing Avengers Infinity War, not to mention they directed Captain America Civil War and Captain America the Winter Soldier. So the talent they have working behind the scenes on this show is awesome. Remender says, quote, "Fans of the comic are going to be delighted. Deadly Class is authentic, honest, and brutal. The threats are real." Now, the Russo went on to say, "It's a mix of a lot of different sensibilities, spanning everything from our intense action work like Captain America the Winter Soldier to more of our absurd sensibility." I'm excited for this. The series is set to be in 2019. Now, it's going to be on Syfy, and I used to have a little sting about Syfy, you know, Sharknado and all that. The only thing I feel like Syfy has come out with for me that's quality is Battlestar Galactica and Being Human. But I'm loving Krypton. Krypton right now in Syfy is awesome. Great characters, great story, playing around with the Superman mythology. So I'm on a Syfy high right now, to where I think this looks interesting. The fact that it's got the right people behind it, I'm definitely going to check it out. Rick Remender does some great stuff. He did a great Avengers run. And, of course, the Russo brothers crushing it. Who knew? Who knew, man? I mean, these guys, they directed TV, Arrested Development, and what's the Joel McHale show? Community. Then they come out with Winter Soldier, crush it, and continue to crush it. These guys are hot commodities, no doubt. The fact that they would choose to do a property or executive produce a property like this gives me faith in it. So I'm definitely checking it out, guys. Go online, check out the trailer. Let me know what you think, and hit me back on the social media accounts and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. All right, guys, and the final story for the day. So it was probably about, 2 weeks ago, maybe less, that Warner Brothers and DC announced that they are making a Swamp Man live-action series for their upcoming streaming service, and it's going to be produced by James Wan. Well, now they added another series to it, Doom Patrol. That's right, based off the superpowered misfits introduced in 1963, the series is going to spin out of the events of the live-action Titan series that's going to be on the streaming service. And if you look at the episode titles on Titans, the 5th one is called Doom Patrol. Now, another notable part of this whole story is that Cyborg, yes, Cyborg from the Justice League movie, is set to play a meaningful part, at least in the beginning parts of this series. So the synopsis is, quote, "Doom Patrol is a reimagining of one of DC's most beloved group of outcast superheroes, Robot Man, Negative Man, Elastigirl, and Crazy Jane, led by modern-day mad scientist Dr. Niles Calder. The Doom Patrol's members each suffered horrible accidents that gave them superhuman abilities, but also left them scarred and disfigured. Picking up after the events of Titans, Doom Patrol will find these reluctant heroes in a place they never expected to be, called into action by none other than Cyborg, who comes to them with a mission hard to refuse, but with a warning that is hard to ignore. Their lives will never, ever be the same." So DC has ordered 13 episodes of Doom Patrol, and it's going to be produced by Berlanti Productions. That's right, another Greg Berlanti production in here, and it's a 1-hour drama that's going to be produced by Greg Berlanti, Jeff Johns, and several others, set for be targeted 2019 on DC Universe. So, full disclosure, I'm not a big Doom Patrol guy. I don't know a lot about them. I don't know the characters very well. My only interaction really with Doom Patrol, I say, is going to be when they've interacted with the Teen Titans. I know there was a storyline back when Jeff Johns was writing Teen Titans, and it was the year later storyline where Beast Boy had left to join Doom Patrol. And that's really my only interaction with Doom Patrol, so I don't know a lot about them. So my part that I want to focus on is Cyborg. DC and Warner Brothers has been very picky about what they allow in the television universe based off the films. There was the character of Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, who was featured in the first 2 seasons of Arrow. Then he left. Why? Because they were set to put Deathstroke in the Batman film that at the time was written and starring Ben Affleck. So they took him away for a little bit. When that fell apart, they brought him back to Arrow for a little while. Now it's said that he popped up at the end credits of Justice League. So Deathstroke is gone again because they're thinking about using him again in the movies, played by Joe Manganiello. I don't know. And then you have other characters that, you know, TV is playing around with. What's a Deadshot? He was in Suicide Squad and he was in Arrow. He was in Arrow first, so what happens? They pluck him out of Arrow. Why? Because they want to put him in the movies and they don't want the audience to be confused. We even got hints of Harley Quinn in Arrow, but, you know, they can't use her. Amanda Waller, again, died in Arrow because she was about to pop up on Suicide Squad. They do this, you know, and I'm just very curious how they're going to use Cyborg given the fact that he was in Justice League. Now, granted, of course, Justice League didn't have the success that Warner Brothers wanted it to have. Cyborg is a prominent member of the Teen Titans, one of the staple members. If you watch the Teen Titans animated series, if you watch Teen Titans Go, it's Starfire, Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, and Cyborg. Does this mean they're going to bring Cyborg into this shared live-action universe too? Because remember, Doom Patrol is spinning out of Titans, which means we're going to have 2 shows in the same universe. Much like on the CW, we have Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and Black Lightning, among other animated series that are on CW Seed. Are we creating another TV DC shared universe here? I don't know. That's just going to be strictly on the streaming service? That sounds... What? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But nevertheless, using Cyborg in the TV series, does this mean they're done with him in the movies? Or does it mean we're just going to have 2 Cyborgs, much like we have 2 Flashes? I'm not going to get into that. But I think this raises a lot of questions as far as that Warner Brothers is willing to put Cyborg in this series as a dominant member. It says a lot about where they are in their movies, at least in my opinion. But you guys let me know what you think. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Let me know, guys, okay? Facebook group, Twitter, and, of course, Dayspring Discussions at gmail.com. And that is going to be it for me today, guys. Well, fire back. Let me know what you think about the topics I have shared with you. Deadpool this weekend, guys, comes out tomorrow night. I'm probably not going to get to it till Saturday, but you can bet your behind. Sunday, spoiler review is going to be up. Go see the movie and then listen to me, guys. That's going to be it for me today. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.